Everyone, welcome to another solutions video. We're going to continue on with this series of solving how to print out patterns based on um, our input. So in this one, we're going to take a string input, and the first set of outputs is going to be removing the first characters from the previous output. So we went from park, arc, and k, right? Whereas the second output will be that we're going to take the entire word, start removing the last characters one by one, so we get park, p, right? If our input was park. Okay, so what I have done is I've done the program for you. So this first section here is going to do this. Now I have put an input statement so that I can show you the entire iteration step one by one. So let's start. So if I were to say hello, okay, and for this one, we're going to go from 0 to the length of the word. Okay, so we're going to make sure to start at 0, and we're going to go up towards the length. Okay. In this case, we're going to go up towards 5, and our last value is going to be I value is going to be 4. Right now, we're starting at 0 and slicing it all the way to the end. Therefore, we get the entire word. We get hello. I increases to 1. Right. So now we have hello. The reason that my program is stopping once after the iteration is done is because I have an input. It is not being assigned to anything, so you just press enter to continue. It's just reading keyboard event. So we have hello because I is 1. And as I increases, we are modifying where we slice the word from. So we're starting to slice from a later index to the point that we get up to O, and then this section finishes. In this one here, we have the J, whereas we're going from length of the word all the way down to 0, and we're subtracting 1 at every iteration. So we're starting from the maximum, and we're going to be shortening that maximum on every iteration. We went up to the length of the word. Now we went only up to 4, then to 3, then to 2, then to 1, because we never include that last value in our range and the end of a slice check, and we got up to H. That's the end of our code. Okay. If you didn't have these inputs here, you wouldn't have the spacing between each letter, but that is the desired outcome we wanted, right? So you can use slicing, you can use the range pattern to help you manipulate your outputs and create patterns like that. So our output's a series of integers, or seeming like integers, where it's dependent on our n value. Okay, depending on an n value, we're going to get these series of different outputs. So if n was 4, we're going to put 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4. So this is dependent on our n value, right? So this had 3 3s, this had 2 2s, 1 1, and that had 4 4s. And we're going to be creating a program that mimics. Okay, so to start off very easy, we get our input. We're going to get num int input enter. Right, we're just going to get n value off, and we're going to go processing. We're going to say for I in range. I want that to be 1, and we're going to include num. So we're going to do num plus 1, and we don't need to set an incrementer because we want to increase it by 1 every loop. Okay, so we're starting at 1, and we need to output 1, the character, 1 at a time. So what we're going to do is go print. Okay. We're going to go a string of I. Right, I want the string version of I repeated I times. And this is the beauty of the solution, and this is the solution. So let's call that output here as well. Basically, what we're doing is we're converting our iterator variable in our for loop, which starts at 1, and it's going to go up to whatever we set it to, right? So if it was 5, it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to repeat it by itself, because 1 has 1, 1, 2 has 2, 2s, 3, 3, 4, 4s, 5, 5s. Basically, so if I have a string version of that number, I can repeat it I many times because I is still an integer in this situation. So let's run this program. So if I were to enter 5, on every iteration, we're taking the I value and repeating it that many times. So on the first iteration, we just have to do it. In the second iteration, I is 2, so we're going to output that twice. Okay, hence it starts growing. So if I did this, like, let's say if I did 9, you'll get this pattern. And 10's interesting because 10's is say 2 length strings, so it's gonna do this kind of patterning, and it's gonna actually mess it up. Okay, so yeah, that was a solution where we're gonna look at where we looked at how to repeat numbers in our output for string. All right, everyone, welcome back. On question 8 of string worksheet 2, we're still going on with the pattern theme, but this time we're going to be augmenting question 4. Much like question 4, we're going to grow our star pattern by the n input. However, it's going to go back down to its original value. And this is where we're going to be working on, where we're taking our previous solution and modifying it so that uh, we can solve this problem. So here we go. Once again, just like any question before, we're going to take some input. This one, we need an integer input, the n value. So we're going to call that num. The input, enter value of n. And then processing. I'm going to make the first half first. So whenever you work on a pattern question, especially during a test or a contest, what I want you to do is try to think of it in halves, especially in this one, right? So the first half, I look like that, and I've done this before. It's very easy. So let's try to code that part and worry about the second half afterwards. We're going to go for I in range from 1 to num plus 1, and we're going to go up by 1 every time. Then we're going to go print. I want to take the asterisk and multiply by I on every iteration. If I run this code as it is and put an n value of 5, we're going to get that first half. Now my worry is, well, I got up to here. How do I go back down? Okay. So what we're going to do is for j in range, we're going to just do another loop that goes downwards now. We're going to go num minus 1 because I want to start at num minus 1, right? Going all the way up to 0, but not inclusively, and negative 1. Then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to print the star, repeated j many times. If I were to run this code, 5, this portion right here is handled by the first for loop, and this bottom half now is handled by the second for loop. Okay, so sometimes when you have a pattern that's growing and shrinking back down again, it is advised that you maybe want to use 2 loops. Okay, and don't be afraid to use 2 loops here. Having a for loop inside a for loop sometimes necessary, but it does slow you down because it's something called a quadratic complexity when you learn how to look at algorithmic complexity. But having 2 linear loops like these are not that bad when you do simple solutions with very minimal complexity. Okay. Anyways, so this was the star pattern, growing and shrinking. All right, everyone, welcome to the last set of the patterns question, where this one we're going to be outputting this kind of pattern, where we're going to be outputting a series of 1s and 0s. Okay, so if n was 5, we're going to have a string that's 5 characters long, and we're going to have a pattern of 1 0 1 0 1 0. We're going to start at 1. As it grows, we're going to add either 0 or 1 depending on the value n. Okay, and we're going to be printing it like so. So there are multiple ways to solve any of these pattern questions. Okay, so I'm just going to be showing you 2. Okay, one's going to be this concatenation based, whereas the other one is going to be more of a slicing based. Okay, so let's go with concatenation. All right, so we're going to use the same input. So we're going to say like num is an input, enter a value of n. So I'm just going to keep that outside, and I'm going to do now the concatenation, where we're going to be adding on zeros, 1s, and 0s. So first, I'm going to have, let's say, pattern, an empty string. On every iteration, I'm going to be adding 1s or 0s. We're going to go for I in range 1, num plus 1, because I want to include that value. What I'm going to do is if I, modulus 2 is equal to 0, we're going to say pattern plus 0. Otherwise, it's an odd number. Go plus equals string of 1. Okay. And after that addition is done, I'm going to go print pattern. So on every loop, I'm going to add a character, single character, and I'm going to print that pattern. Okay. So if I were to run this, go 5. Right, we started at 1 because we added 1 because 1 is odd. Then go 1 0 1 1 0 1 and 1 0 1 1. Okay. So this is the concatenation. If I were to do a slicing solution, it is actually very funny. But regardless, still valid. So what we're going to do is create a new pattern 2, right? So this is for the slicing one. Okay, and what we're going to do is take a string 1, and just to be safe, we're going to multiply or repeat that string by num many times. Okay? Then we're going to go for I in range from 1 all to num plus 1. Okay. We're going to print pattern 2 from the beginning all the way up to I. Okay. On this one. Yeah. For this one here, we're going to start at 1. We're going to go all the way up to 5, not including. And then we're going to go print this out. Here we go. If I were to do 5, right? This one, right? We're going starting from 0, going all the way up to 1. We don't include the 1s, we get 1. 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, and 1, 1, 0. This is because pattern 2, we have a very long string that was pre-created, and we repeated it by this pattern at 1, 0 this many times. So we have a very long string. So if I were to print a divider and show you what pattern 2 looks like, right? It'll be like, so because we repeated the 1, 0 pattern now many times, we're not gonna run out of string. We don't need to add on anything. We just have to slice it and make sure we're printing that slice of string in a proper fashion, which we have done here. Okay. So which solution is better? They're both great. Um, Slicing solution seems to do a lot less computation of adding, but we are generating new strings every time we slice anyway. So efficiency wise, program quality wise, both work. Okay, so you can choose whichever you like. Thank you for watching. Stay classy.